So, in today's episode of I'm Not Shocked, Donald Trump is calling for the execution of Democratic lawmakers. And I say to myself, how did we allow such rhetoric to become normal from the President of the United States? I immediately thought back to his comments about Liz Cheney and putting her in front of a firing squad, and people just rolled with that and kept going. And now here we are with him calling to hang him up high, and people will just gloss over this like it's not news. But I do believe it is when you have a president who engages in this type of dangerous rhetoric, and then it's always people like us that gets told to turn down the temperature in the room. If we say one line or speak out of turn in the slightest, people pounces on us, and the mainstream media will pounce on an influencer before they will the president of the United States for going to bat and putting this type of dangerous rhetoric out into the world. You have to remember the type of people that latch on to Donald Trump. They're the type of people that will be willing to go to the Capitol on January 6th and destroy everything there. And these were criminals before that day. They were criminals after that day. And we've done stories here on the channel about them being criminals today. So I'm going to be reading you this article here from MeidasNews.com. It truly is disgusting that we're here and that we have a president like this, and we're all going to have to put in a lot of work and work overtime to always remind our kids that this is not normal behavior from a president. I always tried to shield my younger kids from politics, never talked about it. Figured I'd wait till they were older before we had these conversations. But I've come to the conclusion now that I can't let my young boys grow up in this world, hearing this stuff, seeing this stuff, and thinking that it's okay, because it's not. So I talked politics back when I was a kid, and I guess my young boys are going to have to saddle up now and get ready, because we're going to talk about garbage like this. Trump amplifies calls to execute Democratic lawmakers and repost, hang them, George Washington would. So Donald Trump is calling for Democratic lawmakers to be prosecuted and is amplifying calls for their execution after they released a video reminding service members that they are obligated to refuse unlawful military orders. Donald Trump posted this one right here. This is really bad and dangerous for our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up, President DJT. And then on down here, the lawmakers include Representative Jason Crow, a former Army Ranger, who expressed concerns over Trump's orders. Trump's own past musings about shooting protesters, deploying National Guard into U.S. cities, and sending troops to polling locations are examples of scenarios that could put service members in legally perilous situations. Service members have longstanding obligations under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So then right here, you can see where Donald Trump posted that. But then right down here, Trump responded by reposting some of the most extreme reactions to the Washington Examiner story, including a user who wrote, hang them, George Washington would, and another urging sedition charges. So you can see right there, that's what he posted. And take a look at that cross, too. These are the type of people Donald Trump props up. He then escalated the rhetoric himself, calling the lawmakers traitors, accusing them of seditious behavior at the highest level, and demanding they be arrested and put in jail. He also retruthed this here. I think they should be charged with sedition. Also, save those tapes and run them when the next demo commie is in office. Trump said their comments cannot be allowed to stand and warned that one example must be set. The post marks a stark escalation in Trump's use of criminal language and violent rhetoric, reframing a legal reminder about unlawful orders into the grounds of prosecution and elevating supporters' calls for the lawmakers to be hanged. And a lot of people will write this off, and they'll say, Brando, that's just Trump being Trump, man. You can't take him serious. And then there's always going to be those that chimes in to go, don't worry, Brando, he won't do that. It's the fact that he says it out loud, and it's the fact that he has this rabid base that is just ready to go to bat for him. And they look over and they see him giving pardons to the absolute scum of the earth, to the absolute worst of people. And when they see those people get those pardons and get those passes, that says to them, hey, I can do it too. So when he sits there and reposts stuff like that and puts it out into the world, and people will even try to write this off like, well, he just reposted it. He didn't say it himself. He amplified it. He amplified that type of garbage. Any other president, love him or hate him, would have tried to dial this back. I remember a time when I would see, like conspiracy theorists stand up and they would ask George W. Bush a question. He would shut it down. They would ask Bill Clinton the same question. He would shut it down. And now we live in a world where presidents amplify conspiracy theories. This president does. He amplifies conspiracy theories. He amplifies hateful rhetoric, and he does it to a base of people who are a bunch of deranged lunatics. They truly are. The DOJ went in and quietly removed a study that showed more violence comes from the right wing. And think about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Think about all that Marjorie Taylor Greene has went through. But now she's talking about the death threats she's getting ever since she turned on Trump. Now she's having to amp up security now when she stepped out of line with him. So they can save all this rhetoric about that it's us or it's the left or it's somebody else trying to cause the violence. You have to go to the top head of the table, to the head of the snake, and that is Donald Trump. And as long as he's amplifying this type of stuff and giving these type of people a voice, then these things are going to continue to happen. And we cannot allow this to become normal rhetoric in American politics. I don't want my children growing up in a world where they think it's okay for a president to speak like that. And especially considering this is the president of January 6th. This is a president who actually got people to betray their country and raid their own capital and destroy it. So I don't want to ever be set here and lectured, about seditious conspiracy from the guy that was behind January 6th. I don't want to be lectured by someone like that has pardoned all these violent criminals and let them right back out on the street and then wants to sit and tell us that we're the radicals and that we're the extremists and that we're the ones that needs to turn down the temperature. We can share a meme that should be satire, but it's true. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you see it and you double check it 4 or 5 times to make sure that it's not satire, because it's so crazy that it is. But we can post anything out there, and the minute we do, someone pounces and says, you all need to turn down the temperature. But yet he posts this stuff that goes right to the most rabid of people, and it just gets glossed over like it's just Trump being Trump. We're supposed to just accept it. Well, I don't accept it, and no one should. We should always stand up for the truth, and we should always stand up for what's right. And if someone has broke the law, they should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. We believe in that. We also believe that the criminals on January 6th should have never got a pardon, and they should have been punished to the fullest extent of the law. If you want to talk about traitors to the country, you can't talk about traitors when you're the party of January 6th. It's crazy to me that we're here, but we are. And we've allowed this to become normal. The mainstream media has allowed it to become normal, and the churches have allowed this to become normal. And I'm always going to put the blame right back on them because they're the ones that amplifies it even further. They're the ones that gives people an even bigger reason to believe in it. When the mainstream media glosses over this type of thing and acts like, it's just Trump being Trump, that's bad. And then when you go to church on Sunday and you've got a minister sitting there telling you that God called people, there's a page I follow over on, they're all over their Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. They're pretty much everywhere. It's called Right Wing Watch. And a lot of the stuff they focus on is the ministers and the evangelicals and the crazy things they say. And I know a lot of people say, Brando, that's just the craziest of people. Don't pay no attention to that. I do pay attention to that because that's Donald Trump's base. Used to, they were just over there for your amusement. You could laugh at their ridiculous, stupid shit. But now it's mainstream. And so I follow that, and I sit back and watch these so-called ministers sit there and say that to don't question Trump, that he was called by God, that God put this in place, and don't rock this boat. And, they try to make these comparisons like he's the Apostle Paul. They try to point to Paul being a sinner before he saw the light to Donald Trump. It's absolute insanity. So I blame them. I blame the churches. I blame the mainstream media for normalizing this shit, but we never will. And I appreciate y'all for helping me to build this platform because I've always said I just wanted to stand as a testament that we didn't fall for it. And people can look back years from now and they can go, well, there was a group of people that didn't buy into this bullshit. And there's a lot of good people out there. There's so many good people out there in this country that does not buy into this bullshit. But we've got to inspire more of them to vote and more of them to turn out and more of them to stand up and more of them to speak out. It's so sad to me that we have people on the right side of history who are afraid to speak. And then we have garbage like that that's just amplified to full volume by the president. So we'll keep calling it out. We'll keep standing up for the truth. And I truly do appreciate all of you for supporting this channel and what I do.